Good morning. Welcome to Trading Hour. I'm Reema Tendulkar with Mia Sonia Shenoy and Pavitra Parekh. Well, it's hard to call this post-Christmas Santa rally, right? It just feels like it's a rebound after the excessive sell-off, the brutal sell-off that we had last week. And this has been a trend across the other global markets as well. So there is a risk-on that you are seeing across the markets which are trading. And remember, most of them are shut today. But you have some green going for Shanghai, Nikkei, the Korean markets, the Kospi. But many markets like US, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia are shut on account of Christmas, while markets in Australia, New Zealand, UK are shut for Boxing Day. So expect the activity to be quite thin today. It's a holiday shortened week, but this morning there is a rebound. The Nifty and the Sensex currently up close to about 0.8%, but it's the broader markets which have rebounded the hardest, right? The harder they fell last week, the harder the rebound today. The mid-cap index is up over 2%. The small-cap index is a gain of close to about 3%. The advanced decline ratio has been steady since morning. It's currently at 7 stocks in the green for 1 in the red. And talking about the big winners, it's the commodity names. So Tata Steel, Hindalco, these stocks are higher in trade. IndusInd Bank, Tata Motors, ITC as well. Add that to the gainers list. Good morning again. Hi.
Good morning. I actually can't really take this recovery very seriously, right? Considering that, I mean, of course, it's the last week of 2022. And most, as they say, the cat are away, the mice are at play. So most global markets are closed. You don't have any cues coming in from there. The only thing is that the Nifty has held on to the 200-day moving average. So it's sliced all other levels, 20, 50, 100-day moving average. And 200-day moving average for now is holding. So let's see if that holds. I think the big trigger would be as we head into the earnings season, which starts in the first week of January. So ahead of that is just sort of quiet times, marking time till the end of the year.
Looks like that, and it looks like we're really taking whatever little we can get, right, and hoping that we can cheer that. In terms of the sectors that are doing well, it is really the PSU banks which are doing well today. So the banking pack in general is also doing quite well if you take a look at that. So some of the smaller banks will come up for you. Take a look at the move on, say, Karnataka Bank, South Indian, Yes Bank. These are some of the stocks which are really standing out. In addition to the metals, you also have some of the big auto names which are doing well today. So something like a Tata Motors is holding up quite well. You have Eicher, M&M, a few of those stocks on your screen. On the downside, not too many today, but there are some from the pharma pack that you should keep on your radar. So that's what's really going on as far as the market setup goes. But let's, with that, invite our first management on the show as well. Axiscades Technologies is on our radar today. It recently completed the acquisition of Mistral Solutions for nearly 300 crore rupees, and it sees significant upside to its earnings through synergies. To discuss this, along with the outlook for the second half of FY23, we're joined by Arun Krishnamurthy, who's Managing Director and CEO of Axiscades Technologies. Mr. Krishnamurthy, thank you very much for joining us. This is Pavitra. Season's greetings to you first off to start off with. And, just if you can explain the synergies a little bit more to us. We do know that this acquisition has been completed, but if you can take us through the benefit that will really come through for your company.
Sure. Thank you for having me on the show, firstly, and Merry Christmas to all of you. I've taken a few days off and I'm in Goa, so I can really feel the spirit of Christmas out here. But yeah, so this acquisition for us is going to be very value accretive in the sense that Mistral really has 2 parts of its business. The first business is in the semiconductor space, where they're into product engineering services. And the second one is the defense business that they do, the Indian defense. So the reason for the acquisition is, one is that, Axiscades as a company is into automotive, aerospace, heavy engineering, and energy. Excuse me. And the reason that we acquired Mistral is that, one, the semiconductor business is very vibrant. As you know, there's silicon and there's semiconductor in every device now. So we see that to be a very vibrant business going forward. And also, this is something that we can take to our existing verticals in aerospace, automotive, and energy. And the second part is defense. As you know, there's the whole Make in India, the Bharat Atmanirbhar initiative. The Prime Minister, the Defense Minister are pushing, for a lot of indigenous defense development. And if you really look at defense, there's just 3 or 4 vendors. There's Mistral and there's a few others. So we are really well positioned from that perspective, and we want to capitalize on this. So we feel that the benefit for us is, one is on the semiconductor side, and the second is the defense business that, we know will be on a good growth path going forward.
Could you give us a sense of what the revenue and margin accretion will be? I think your annual revenues are roughly about $100 million if I just annualize the Q2 run rate. What could the number look like once you fully integrated Mistral? How much higher? And what about margins? The Q2 margins were close to 20%, which is higher than what you had previously. What would be the target margins post the acquisition?
Yeah, so I think firstly that, this acquisition has been done in stages. So we've been working on this for the past 2 years. So we have actually been consolidating the Mistral numbers. So the 100 million that you talk about is actually including Mistral. So that's point number one on revenue. As far as margins is concerned, Mistral has very healthy margins. So they have upwards of 20% EBITDA. And like you said, Q2 for us was 20%, but I would say the normalized margin for Q2 was 15%. The reason being that there were some one-offs on the defense business. There was a high component of services. So the margins and the EBITDA that Mistral brings in will be very value accretive, but the revenues is already consolidated.
Okay, Mr. Krishnamurthy, good morning. This is Sonia and Merry Christmas to you. I'm really envious that you're sitting in Goa, at right place at the right time. I thought you'd be in some Goa attire as well, to kind of get the Christmas cheer going. But be that as it may, Europe was really in a tough space in the quarter gone by. In fact, in your own business, Europe was down almost about 5.5 to 6%. Has there been any recovery there? And what's the outlook for the new year in terms of different geographies?
Yeah, so if you look at the verticals that we service, so if you look at aerospace, as you know, we work with Airbus, and we recently announced a deal renewal with them, which is actually significantly larger than what we've been doing with them in the past. So, we have a very good pipeline as far as Airbus is concerned. So our aerospace vertical will continue to be vibrant. As far as automotive is concerned, the kind of projects we work in are very early cycle R&D projects. So these are typically not, something which is impacted by macroeconomic trends. So we don't see much of an impact on that. Energy, again, is a topical issue. With Ukraine, energy prices went up, they've gone down again. But we're seeing a lot of investment in energy. I would say heavy engineering is probably one area where there might be a bit of a muted environment. But having said that, I don't want to gaze into the crystal ball. There are obviously macroeconomic trends. There is inflation. There's the COVID issue in China. So we'll have to watch the space to see how it goes, not just in Europe, but globally.
All right, got that. Mr. Krishnamurthy, another thing, for Mistral, you were talking about the defense part, which you seem very optimistic about. Can you tell us what part is defense for Mistral? That's one. And also on Airbus, since you mentioned that order, what is the size of this order?
Yeah, so as far as Mistral is concerned, we work on the communication protocols for defense. So if you look at all the radar technology, the receivers and the transmitters, all the radar components that go into fighter aircraft, submarines, etc. So that's the part that we work on. And, it's the communication technology and electronic warfare, which really is on the growth path. We've seen that with the Ukraine crisis, with drones, etc. So we are sort of in the embedded space on the communication part as far as defense is concerned. As far as Airbus is concerned, the deal that we have, and unfortunately, I can't give you the deal size because that's client confidential, but I can tell you that it's bigger than what we used to have in the past. So we work on the fuselage and the wings part of Airbus, and this is across the locations of UK, France, Germany, the US. So it's quite a big deal, and it's aerostructures and quite high-end engineering. But it'll be much better for us. But unfortunately, I can't give you specifics on numbers.
Okay, but it's bigger than the deals that you won with Airbus in the past. Mr. Krishnamurthy, the last time we chatted with you, you indicated that you've appointed Edelweiss and you are looking to raise 100 crores via a preferential issue. Could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so that process is ongoing. So we are talking to investors, we're talking to various stakeholders. So you're right, we're looking at raising anywhere between 100 crore to 200 crore. And this is really for two reasons. One is to write off the debt, and the second is for growth capital. Because we really feel we are in a very vibrant space with engineering services, especially with the China Plus One strategy. I think India is really well placed. So we have growth capital to hire some people to set up labs, etc. So we are sort of in conversations, and hopefully in the near future we might be able to conclude it. Yeah.
Will it get concluded in Q1 calendar year 23? Will it extend itself to Q2? Just some indication of timeline. And have you increased the size of the fundraise? Because last time you indicated it will be around 100 crores. Now you seem to be suggesting it could go upwards to 200 crores. So have you increased the size?
No, it's the range that I talked about. So 100 crores. Yeah, we hope to conclude quickly. I mean, I can't say for sure if it will get concluded in Q1. There's the holiday season. Obviously, that has slowed things down a bit.
So you said that this fundraise is going to be in order to write off your debt. What does this do to your debt? I mean, how will you be completely writing it off, or will there be some remaining debt as well? What will the amount be?
Yeah, so we have 200 crores of debt because primarily for the Mistral acquisition. So one is, of course, we're looking at refinancing it, looking at better terms. But part of this growth capital will go towards the debt. But part of it, like I said, is towards hiring new people and setting up labs, etc.
Okay. I just had one follow-up. You were talking about demand trends and these verticals that you're in, whether it's aerospace, defense, automotive, heavy engineering, now they're starting to pick up in a big way. What are you understanding from your clients about spends? Do you think spends will go up in the year to come? And what would that do? What is the visibility that you would have in orders, say, over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so, all these verticals are quite vibrant. Aerospace has come back very strongly after COVID. So clearly over the next 4-5 years, the spend will go up. Companies like Airbus are looking at increasing the manufacture of planes from 45 to 75 in a month, which means there's a lot of engineering work. Automotive, there is obviously a lot of move towards connected vehicles, electrification, etc. So that's a very vibrant vertical. Energy, again, we are seeing that, there's obviously a push towards clean, but then fossil fuels will still remain. So we do see some investment there. So we see in the near term investment to be strong in all these areas. And there is a lot of technology. And of course, semiconductor, I should mention from Mistral, that is actually on an absolute growth path. And there's been some shortages of semiconductor, but hopefully we are at the tail end of it. And next year we'll see increased supply. But that will be a very vibrant vertical as well for us.
All right, Mr. Krishnamurthy, we are going to leave it at that today. Thank you very much for joining us and taking us through this acquisition as well as your outlook going ahead. That is the management of Axiscades Technology talking about the deal synergies that they see with Mistral and also the outlook going forward. They've not disclosed the size of the Airbus deal, but they are saying it is larger than the previous orders that they have won. With that, we're going to get into our